The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark.
Glory to you.
Jesus went home, and such a crowd collected that they could not even have a meal. When his relatives heard of this, they set out to take charge of him, convinced he was out of his mind. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to the Lord Jesus Christ.
When we were growing up as thieves in a small town in Chakiri, the northwestern part of Cameroon, there used to be a notorious armed robber who was known by everybody, even all of us, the kids, we knew that this man is really notorious, he's untouchable. And even the police would be very afraid of him. And there were times that he even went to the parish house to rob the parish house, and the Mihiel priest there, Father William Swatot, was locked in the toilet, and terrible things happened to him, even though he was not killed. And everybody knew that this was this guy and his gang. They went even took off with the parish car, and people came after him, shooting guns and things. And later on, uh, things happened in his life, and he was living a normal life like any other person. Everybody was afraid of him. Nobody would dare to talk to him, because he was very strong. He even used magic charms and things like that too. So it was a case that nobody could deal with. And all of us kids were very afraid of him. But he was always very kind. He would come to share sweets and biscuits and things, and everybody would be afraid even to take those things. He was always trying to laugh and smile at people, but he was known as a very notorious armed robber. But sometimes time passed, and then something happened. He wanted to rob a very small tribe in Cameroon called Mbororos, who I don't know who to compare them with here. Maybe like the Ati community. And those people decided, I don't know what happens that day, that night, and he was killed by these small people, this small tribe. They had nothing, but they had spears because they were looking after their cows, and they killed him. And very early in the morning, at about 5 o'clock, the news spread in the whole village that this man had died. And you can't imagine, by around 9 o'clock, people were out in the streets dancing. Even all the kids, all of us came out dancing and holding flowers and shaking things and saying, at last this man has died. And I remember his girlfriend, when he died and he was buried, his girlfriend went to put candles and flowers on his grave, and he was banished from the town. To tell you how serious it was, he was banished, that he should never set foot in that town, in that land again. And that tells you how much, like he has died. We are very happy that at last this man has been brought down. And in the first reading today, we find Saul, who has been chasing to kill David all his life. And David has been on the run all his life with his men. And then David hears that this man has died. Saul, who has been chasing him, who has been a threat to his life from the time he was young until when, many years later on, he has been running away from Saul. And David hears that Saul is dead. You would expect that David will be happy and say, at last I can now rest, I can now have my freedom. But David weeps bitterly. David is so sad that Saul is dead. For what reason? Is David out of his mind or what? And this is what it means to be a Christian, that we have to be out of our minds. That we must do things that will make people feel we are out of our minds. Like Jesus in the Gospel of today, we hear his relatives come and they say, we have to take him home because surely he is out of his mind. And there are many things that he did in his life that made people to feel he's out of his mind. Think of somebody being crucified on the cross. Instead of cursing those who are crucifying him, he blesses them and he asks for forgiveness on their behalf. He is surely out of his mind. Think of somebody like Maria Gorothi, a 12-year-old girl who is being stabbed by this man. And before she dies, she asks for forgiveness and tells the people who are present how much she loves this person and forgives him from the depths of her heart. She is surely out of her mind to be able to do that. When Jesus says that we must forgive and love our enemies, to do that, we have to be out of our minds. And this is what it means to be a Christian, that our love for each other must be such that it's out of our mind, that the people who even hurt us, we will not wish them dead, we will not wish them harm, that instead we would bless them. That is what anybody would not be able to understand. That is what people will not be able to comprehend. Why should we do that? Why should we not ask God to curse those people? Why should we not instead take revenge on those people? No. We have to love the people who hate us. And that is what it means to be Christian. That is what it means to be out of our minds, that we do not even reason again. My dear brothers and sisters, if we have to do the extraordinary as Christians, then we must not be logical. We must not reason like the people of this world. In fact, we have to be out of our minds to be able to do whatever thing God has asked us to do. If we have to obey His commands, it doesn't make sense to the people and to the standards of this world. And that is what it means to be out of our minds, to be able to do all that we have been asked to do. We must not try to look for reasons why things have to be done the way they are done. We do not have to find reasons to be able to defend ourselves not to do what we are supposed to do. But we must do it because Jesus Himself was considered to be out of His mind, to be able to love, to be able to forgive, to be able to live even His divinehood, to be able to become one like us in everything through His incarnation. And His example for us is that we must follow this stupid way, this way that does not make sense. We have to be out of our minds if we have to be children of God, because He Himself, at some point, He was considered to be out of His mind, because He did what the world would not consider as a worthy thing to do. He did what the world would not consider as meaningful, or something that is worth it, by dying on the cross and becoming a criminal, becoming a curse, such that the curse that was laid upon us will be taken away. He was out of His mind. And we have to be out of our minds.